Hi back. All right, Sarah Hines giving the thumbs up, so we're doing it. Is it
Alrighty.
recording? Did you all get that annoying message? You're now being
did.
recorded. So if you have morning hair, you can feel free to turn off your video, right, Dexter? Oh, sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Urban Ecology Collaborative. I think you all kind of know the drill, but we're a group of groups of urban greeners that range all over the Northeast at Mid-Atlantic, and there's a couple other people thrown in from around the country as well. Mainly urban foresters, but we branch out into other subjects. And we talk about our successes and our failures and the things that we're looking forward to help each other grow. I'm Kinsey. I am one of the co-chairs of the UEC. I'm a certified arborist working for Northwood Tree Care in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'll pass the torch.
Thank you. And my name is David Meshulam. I'm executive director and co-founder of an urban forestry nonprofit here in Boston called Speak for the Trees. And I've been co-chairing with Kinsey for what, the past year or so?
I think so, yeah. Wild 2021. So today is going to be a review of the year. We don't have any dedicated speakers, but just an opportunity to touch base with you all about the things that you liked, the things that we could improve, as well as looking over some of the changes that we've made throughout 2021. And also we're going to do a quick overview of the Partners Conference for those of us who could not attend, which includes me. So I'm excited to hear about it, live vicariously. So if you want to sound off,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we created this really special slideshow filled with white space. So feel free to put in your name, location, organization in the chat, or feel free to just shout it out too, because we have a pretty, I don't think we have 14 people. So if you want to speak up.
We've got Washington, DC, another Bostoner, Tree Baltimore.
With morning hair. Do we want a theme today? How you're feeling about your hair this morning? It seems to be a theme here.
I fixed my hair for you all, so. New York. Sounding off up and down the East Coast. It's great. We've got Matt representing Nebraska today. Coming in from Middle America. Swimmer's hair. Ah.
It's feeling pretty like stride today. All right. So welcome everyone. And we're just going to dive in here with, here's our agenda we pulled together for today, just a reflection on what's been happening the past month and looking ahead also to, or past month and the past year, and then also looking forward to 2022. But before we begin, I wanted to just see if anyone has announcements to share or updates from their end that they wanted to share. Personal or professional.
Oh, I'll jump in. Fred Chalfant with Tree Baltimore. I'll jump in. If anybody wants to be my new boss, the city is looking for a new chief of forestry. I'll type the job posting in the chat.
Awesome.
Erica's raising their hand.
Hi, yeah. I had something relevant to this group. My background was in wildlife and conservation biology before I was doing urban forestry in Boston. So I have an interest in bird conservation still and ecological restoration. So I actually had set up a meeting with Paige Warren, who used to be involved in this group, knows some of you guys, I think. And she said she was interested to know what this group is up to and see what's happening. So maybe next year, talking to some UMass folks could be a cool thing. I would love to see her give a talk about her lab. Yeah.
It's funny, I was just on a meeting with Paige last week. I hadn't seen her in a couple of years. I will definitely reintroduce her to this. Glad to
I
hear.
can't say
you're in touch
enough
with
good
her.
things
She's
about
amazing.
Paige. She would be a
Yeah.
great addition to this group.
Massachusetts represent. Danielle.
There we go. So many things to click. Yeah, actually, like Fred, I am also looking for someone that not necessarily to be my boss. I've got a good one in place, don't want to replace him. But I do have 2 openings for inventory arborists. So these are field staff who would be collecting tree inventories. So I have 2 openings for that one here in New York City. And I'm also looking for a project manager for ecological restoration. So I'll put the postings for both of these in the chat, but if you can share them amongst your networks in the Northeast, I would greatly appreciate it. Come work for me. I'm great.
I have 2 recommendations for both of you. Is you can post, and I'll go over this in a minute. You can post directly if you're part of the UEC listserv directly to our Google group and share it out. That's a great way to capture. I think we have about 200 people on the listserv, and then also, I do know I was part of. I think they allow external postings. ELP, the Education Environmental Leadership Program, has a weekly job announcement, board announcement, weekly job posting board email that they send out. And I can share that with you as well, for those of you familiar with ELP. And actually, Matt, what a great transition. Don't you like post jobs and stuff?
I was just typing. Yes, I do. Yeah, I send out 2 newsletters every month. One that goes specifically just to active Alliance for Community Trees members. And then we have a broader urban forestry Tribune News newsletter that goes out to 5,000 plus. And so I'm always happy to share job postings if you want to send those along. I can put my email in the chat.
And without further ado, I mean, now that you have center stage, why don't you introduce yourself? A lot of us know you, but I don't want to make assumptions here. We're joined today by the Honorable Matt Spitzen.
Man, you sure know how to butter me up to get me to do something, David. Yeah, thanks for letting me join y'all today. And I was so happy to be added to this list by David during the Partners Week. I'm so happy to stay connected regularly. My name is Matt Spitzen. I lead the Arbor Day Foundation's Alliance for Community Trees program. I know a few of which that are on this call are part of that network. So for the most part, we're a network of around right now 200 mostly nonprofit organizations that are involved in urban forestry within their specific communities. And so these are groups that are, like, as you know, are planting and caring for trees. We've got some cities that are involved, a lot of urban forestry councils and just groups along those lines. And so one thing that I try to do throughout the year is ensure that we're providing value to these organizations through various resources that are customizable with partners' logos and maybe some copy. David sends me things he needs translated, and I just push them through happily. We have different training programs that we do. This past year, we engaged Dr. Christine Carmichael to facilitate a multi-session training series on environmental justice. And so we held that at 3 proficiency levels, just understanding that everyone's at a different stage of their journey in regards to environmental justice. And so those are things that have been recorded and are available to our members in our resource center. We also try to foster different networking opportunities. And so realizing that a main benefit for groups to be a part of this network is just to learn from their peers. And so we try to have different virtual sessions as well as our in-person conferences. And then we actively fundraise for our partners' projects. And so we encourage partners to submit planting or distribution projects that may be in need of funding. And then we have various networks at the foundation where we raise money from individual donors from around the country or corporate partners internationally. And so while we would love to be able to guarantee funding to members of this network, we're kind of at the will of our funders. And so anything that kind of gets submitted to us, we're happy to pitch that and speak to that, the need and impact to potential funders. So yeah, that's a little gist about my work at the Arbor Day Foundation and Alliance for Community Trees. By a show of digital hands, how many people made it to the Partners Conference this year? I know a lot of our Forest Service colleagues weren't able to make it, sadly. David was there.
I'm the only one there.
I know Frank's colleague was there.
I'm seeing some sad faces around. People
I
who couldn't make it,
know.
including me.
Oh, poor
Danielle was in the
Danielle. Poor
You missed
Danielle.
out on some really good bourbon.
So
Yeah, I got some
Danielle,
rum punch though.
so I'm guessing you watched the live stream then, Danielle, since you were on vacation.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just sipping rum cocktails.
I wish I would have been doing that at the in-person conference.
Well, I'm gonna butter you up a little more, Matt, and just say
Perfect.
how wonderful a conference it was. It was really nice to be back in person and see colleagues. And I think everyone, or I speak for myself, I felt very safe. And I think you took amazing precautions. There were great speakers. And
I
it
appreciate
just,
that.
I mean, I don't want to say it felt like old times, but it did feel fun. And I know we here in Boston appreciated it. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes for us, and Matt, the floor continues to be yours to share out, maybe if we could a little bit of some of the themes, and I don't know if you have attendance numbers that you could share, things like that, to just update people. And then also maybe if there's any resources from the conference that we could share out.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so for those that don't know, so the Partners in Community Forestry Conference is a 2-day conference, and it takes place in a different location around the country every year. So this year it was in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I helped run one of the partnering conferences that is always the day before Partners, which is Alliance for Community Trees Day. And so that day is a great opportunity for members and potential members and people that are interested in that space to get together and talk about different issues that community-based organizations are facing and dealing with in their communities, how they're tackling different case studies and things like that. What a wild journey it's been to plan a dang in-person conference the past couple of years. Last year was a completely virtual event that we did for the very first time. We were really happy with that. In order to avoid the most snafus as possible, it for the most part was a pre-recorded conference that was kind of played live. We had, I think, nearly 1,000 attendees for that live stream event last year, and so that was really great. And just seeing the access that's needed for these types of events. And this year we live streamed it for the very first time. And I hope we don't lose sight of that and how not all organizations have the means to go travel and spend nearly a week for these types of events. And so it was kind of one of those things where it's do we, don't we this year. As we know, there's only more and more mutations, and we're getting different variants. And so it's been an interesting situation. And we're also at the point, to be honest, where we were able to, so last year was supposed to be in Louisville, Kentucky, but thankfully, given the situation, they let us push it to 2021. And then we just didn't have that luxury again this year. So we knew we needed to have some sort of in-person event this year, but really do our part to make sure it was as safe as possible. And then realized that not everyone would be able to make it this year. And so we had to explore live streaming for the very first time. And that just seemed, I don't know if anyone was able to live stream it that was here, but in person just seemed, with the company that we hired, it was just this really seamless process. Do I feel that the virtual experience was equal to the in-person component? No, and I think that's always going to be the case. I think the networking and in-person benefits to being at the conference, I think, are always going to kind of way to scale into that side, but I think it's as close as you can get. And there's going to be certain things that we're not able to live stream because we only had live streaming in one room. And then at the partners conference, where there's different concurrent sessions throughout each day. And so depending on what you're looking to get out of the conference, live streaming is a good substitute, but I don't think it's going to completely take the place of being there in person. And then registrations, I was incredibly pleased with how that took shape for Alliance for Community Trees Day. We didn't know how things were going to shake out, and so I think people were a little later to the game in regards to registering for the conference. And so we typically have 100 to 115 people at Alliance for Community Trees Day, which is a one-day conference. And I thought I was setting a stretch goal at 70, and we ended up having 115 people in person for this conference, not even including Arbor Day Foundation staff. And so I was really blown away by that, by how much people were looking forward to being in person and how much they missed it. And I know, in addition to the content and the sessions, that was a huge piece to why they came. For the Partners Conference, we've been typically sitting at around 500 people in person, and then that dipped down to, I believe, around 360. And so it still felt like a full room. It felt pretty normal. I think people are just used to wearing masks now as well, and it's just kind of this normal thing that I'm not sure is going to go away anytime soon. And then the live stream, we had around 200 people join us via the live stream. We would have loved to see that number get higher. It was just one of those things that I think, added a little too late in reviewing the budget and seeing if we could make it happen. And because if other people on this call put together conferences or events like that, you know that you're kind of just hoping to break even for things like this. So it's never been a huge or a money maker for the Arbor Day Foundation. And so, but we knew the access piece was huge. And so I think we were a little late to the game in promoting the live stream because we wanted people to be there in person. So hopefully we're able to do live streaming moving forward, and that we're able to promote it sooner so people know it's an option for them. I might be a little partial, but some of my favorite topics and content from the week have been focuses for the Alliance for Community Trees Network the past year or two, which is the environmental justice topic. For Alliance for Community Trees Day, I, of course, loved Dr. Christine Carmichael's presentation. I had her close out the conference with an hour presentation on, on defining metrics of success in the environmental justice work of community-based urban forestry organizations. And so I'll give just like a little highlight of what she talked about. So in part, her presentation talked about the questions to ask